Okay, now we're going to put together the rocker box. The Skyward 200 in its visual configuration is an elevated Dobsonian. So it's got a rocker box on top of a tripod, and the tripod sits in that rocker box, and it's what creates the altitude and azimuth motions so that you can easily point the telescope by hand. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put together that rocker box, and let me just show you here in the CAD what that looks like. So it's kind of a transparent configuration right now. You can see all the fasteners inside. But let's get familiar with what the parts are. This is the right upright and the left upright. These are what hold the altitude bearing that allows the telescope to have that vertical movement, sort of up down. And these are the extension pieces, because our base is not, we can't print a large enough base on a standard 3D printer. This is a 300 millimeter class printer. We couldn't make a rocker box base large enough. So we use extensions, and then we use this cross piece, this cross brace, to hold it all together. And that's what our rocker box looks like. Now what we'll be doing today is we'll be putting in all these heated inserts. There's about 22 of them. We'll put in these 22 heated inserts, and then once they're in the plastic, then they're brass fittings, and they get melted into the plastic, as you'll see, and they make a really nice thread. You wouldn't want plastic threads holding your telescope together. Plastic is great for large body pieces, but for fine threads, it's not so great. Brass is much better. So that's what we're going to do. We'll put in the brass inserts right now. Okay, so let's start putting together our rocker box. Here are some of the pieces. Here are left and right uprights. Here's our cross brace. This is our extension, left and right, and our rocker box base. These are all the printed parts that we need. And we're going to put in quite a number of these heated inserts. So let's get a few out here. You'll notice the soldering iron is there. It's preheated to 265. So for large heated inserts, I like to use 265. If there's smaller heated inserts, we can use something more like 245, something a little bit less aggressive. Okay, let's get to work. What we need to do is take these heated inserts and just place them right in the hole. So the hole is large enough that the nose, you can see the nose of that heated insert will go in, but the knurled part will not. And that's why we need to apply heat, is to allow that to go in. Now this does take some time, so you need a little bit of patience. Once it starts moving, it does move reasonably well. Now one thing we're going to do is we're going to look from all angles to ensure that it's going in flat. We want it to go just below the surface, and we want it to be nice and flat. And I can see there's just a little bit of tilt to that one. You can still correct it while it's still warm. There we go. There's our first one. Okay, that's our first one. Everything looks nice. All right, let's have a look at those. Yep, that looks good. This piece here takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll end up with a little donut. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little donut where it's slightly, it's hot, so I don't want to touch it. I'm just trying to get it to focus. So what you can do is, if you have a chisel, you can just nicely scrape that layer off. Just take that donut right off. And that way your parts will go together nice and flush. And you'll want to use your chisel very carefully, of course. You can do more harm than good if you're not careful, but now I've got a nice flush donut, or a nice flush heated insert face. Okay, this one looks like it's not quite flat. So we're going to flatten this one here in a second. Sometimes that donut will allow you to see how flat you are. A lot of people use a heated insert press. I actually have one. However, I realize that not a lot of you will have that tool, so we're just going to focus on doing it by hand. You never ever want to drive the chisel towards your hand, or you're going to be very sad as you sit and emerge. All right. And now, 2 more. So you'll notice this is, because the layer lines go this way, the density is a little different. That's why there's donuts in this plane, but not in this plane, which is where our insertion direction is parallel to the layer lines. We don't get those little donuts. All right, there we go. So, 2, 4, 6. All right, so now that part is done. And now, we need to put 4 into here. Let's work from this end. That one came off quite nicely. All right, there we go. Yep. Okay. So now we can do assembly. So let's go get some more fasteners. Okay. Now for some fun assembly, we're gonna use our M5 by 25 button head cap screws. So we need 18 of those and 4 M5 by 30 button head cap screws. All right, and yeah, it's just like Lego from here. So let's start with, what we need to do is we need to match up the left and the right extensions. So this, if you look at where the holes are, you can quickly figure out that this matches this, because if we were to try and put it on this side, you could see that the holes don't match up at all, right? So this goes like this, and that means that this will go like that. And with a little bit of lining up, we should be able to do this pretty quickly. Now I'm just lining up so that it goes through. All right. Once you get 2 in, then everything's nicely lined up. And then you can feel good about, okay, when I say torquing down, I don't mean like putting on lug nuts, but yeah, you can firmly attach these pieces. All right. Okay. And now this cross piece needs to go in here. All right. Line up those holes. And again, you can just eyeball it. See if you can find the threaded insert on the other side. And all right, now that we've got that on, now we need to figure out which one goes here. So these holes match up with this, so that's good. Now this is where we actually need our M5 by 30s, our slightly longer ones. Oh, that's a shorter one I got. So M5 by 30. And all right. And now, in theory, everything will be lined up back here. Now we can just go crazy with more M5 by 25s. a little crooked. You can tell by the way it's squeaking. Again, you don't want to over tighten it, but you can kind of feel when it doesn't want to go anymore. There we go. That's all the way down. Sometimes if the heated inserts aren't even, I don't always get them perfect. When you hear them squeak but they still move, that's okay. If they squeak and they really squawk and they don't want to move at all, then you should take it apart and try to straighten out the heated insert. All right. There's our rocker box.